Okay. See what we have. We'll give him about another minute to see how many more students come.
How many do we have in this class, Beulah?
So we have 29 for this class.
29?
Um,
Okay. Thank you, Beulah.
For the students that are with us that are on mute, that's fine. Just make sure that you turn your cameras on.
All right, since we have a fair amount of students in the class already, I just wanted to remind everyone, just like what Sasha said, so kindly turn on your cameras because that will be counted to your attendance. And also, please display your complete name. So when we, check your attendance, we can have them accurately. And also, if you're an alumni or student leader, kindly put SLR alumni before your name because we'll be doing a breakout room today. And if you have any audio issues or camera issues, so just kindly message YC staff Beulah so she can take note of that for your attendance today. Thank you and enjoy the class.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the spring semester. This is week 1 of 12 weeks. Um, we are going to jump into today's topic, which is mindset fundamentals. So this is kind of be a little bit of a refresher of what we talked about last semester, which is setting goals. We're going to talk again about basically goal setting concepts. We're going to talk about setting SMART goals, and how we should frame goals to be challenges for us to get us out of our comfort zone, to build resilience. Um, there's also a quote that I want to tell you guys, which is goals are dreams with deadlines. That's by Diana Scharf. So essentially, the difference between dreams and goals is that with goals, we essentially take those dreams that we have and then start making a plan towards achieving it, right? Let's go to the next slide. So today's learning objectives, we're going to reflect on last semester's key concepts. A lot of us are returning from last semester and identify which lessons had the biggest impact on us and how we applied them in our real life. We're going to recognize how vision, SMART goals, and BHAGs, which if you remember, that's big, hairy, something goals. I can't remember what the A was for, but essentially we want to have big goals that challenge us and get us out of our comfort zone. Thank you, audacious. See, look at you guys are paying attention to class. Love that. Big, hairy, audacious goals. So essentially making sure that our goals are big enough that they inspire us to actually achieve them. And then understand how growth and mindset supports stepping outside your comfort zone and committing to focusing, having habits and attitudes that help um, us achieve our actual goals at the end. So let's go to the next slide. This slide is basically the review of what we talked about last semester in our concept or our topics. We had 6 main categories: mindset, critical thinking, financial literacy, business skills, goal setting and time management, and character. So I'm going to have you guys do. Love that. Memory is amazing and beautiful. I love how supportive you guys are in this class. I like missed that these past couple of weeks. Um, I'm gonna have you guys break out into groups. Um, I'll have the student leaders or the alumni lead the conversation, but I want each one of you to share what was basically one topic that really stood out to you last semester. Um, and sort of what stood out to you about that topic. And if you want, share how, you've implemented something from that topic in your everyday life. So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to do a breakout room and have a conversation. Then we'll come back and we will share. You have about 1 more minute, then we'll resume class.
Sorry, what was that, Sasha?
About 1 more minute, and then we're going to step back into class. So,
Yeah.
just cool. Okay. So let me look at who we got going on here. And go back to, are we in a breakout room right now?
We are actually in the main room.
Okay. I feel like working on an iPad is not the move, students. I cannot see
The move.
everybody. I have like no idea where everybody is. I feel, okay, let me see. If you can, since I can't, I just have 4 participants in my class or in my screen. Like I only have 4 people here, apparently.
Because the breakout room has 30 more seconds and then they come
Okay,
back.
so we're in
Yeah.
our own breakout room right
We're
now.
like the youth champion staff room hanging out
Okay,
until
that's what
they're
I thought.
done.
Because I was like, I see nobody but us
You're
4.
like, who are you? I'm
I'm like,
Amanda,
where
by
did
the
my
way.
students go? Okay, no problem. Also, iPad is not the move. I'm telling you, don't.
No,
I thought iPad would
I
save me.
no.
No, I should have just gone. I should have just stuck with my MacBook, to be honest. But here
Yeah.
we are.
Here we are. We live and we learn.
Oh my God.
All
It's
right,
hard to
Cohort, I'm
like
back
have
up.
all the screens.
I know.
Okay,
All
here
right.
we go. Okay, now that everybody is back. Okay. I'm just curious for myself. How many of you find of these six categories? Raise your hand if mindset is your favorite topic. If you know how to raise your hand, or you can just raise your hand physically. You don't have to use the Zoom one. Okay. And what about critical thinking? Okay. Financial literacy. Okay. Business skills, goal setting and time management. Okay. And character. Interesting. And then some of you just have no opinion about the six. I get that. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna pick, let me go with David Vasquez. What was the topic that stood out to you the most last semester, and how did it apply to your life?
I think a topic from last semester was the mindset because this year I'm really trying to be on top of things and I'm applying it this year.
Okay. And how do you apply it?
Like I'm turning in all my work on time. I'm doing extra things so I could be on top of everything.
Okay, cool. So you're probably doing mindset and you're coupling it with like maybe goal setting and time management. But that's good. And all of these things, when we talked about it last semester, and we'll talk about it again this semester, like mindset fundamentals is to me the important one to go with first because it's fundamental for a reason. Like our mindset, we can't achieve anything until we have a very positive mindset. Not to be that every day you have to be happy and chipper. You know, there will be setbacks, there'll be days you're not feeling it, but it does come down to a mindset, right? And all of these other skills behind it work because your mindset's positive. Your mindset is, hey, anything that I want to achieve, I can achieve. I can be on top of my stuff because I'm implementing time management. Or I can be on top of my stuff because I have a growth mindset and I want to start new things or challenge myself to do new things. So that's good. Um, Diana Morales, why don't you tell us what stuck with you last semester and how you applied it?
So from last semester, the thing that like most stuck out to me was the financial literacy, and I applied it by like we recently like got our stipend, so I applied it into that and like budgeting and like focusing on not on like spending it on things I need instead of like my wants. So I applied that whole ideology towards like managing that stipend.
Yes. So the stipend, it's interesting, right? Because here you guys are getting a stipend for being in this program, but without the financial literacy, you might not know what to do with it or how to maximize it. It was interesting today. I had a client who I was next to him when a call came in for a potential tenant who wanted to rent some warehouse space. And he was talking about, well, I want to rent this space, but like, hey, my credit's not good, but I've been in business for 20 years. Like I have the money, but I like didn't report my money because I didn't want to pay taxes on it. And so, but my credit's not good. And my client told me, he goes, hey, you should make sure that, one, you're paying taxes, but two, that, you take up financial literacy because here you are 20 years into business and you don't have good credit. And that's a waste of the 20 years that you've been in business. And you lacked the financial literacy to learn about credit, to understand these things. Had you, for instance, had good credit, you would have access to maybe getting a bank loan to grow your business. So it was like in the moment, he was giving the applicant like financial literacy advice that he was like, yeah. He said it on the phone. He's like, yeah, you're right. I like should have thought about that. And then his daughter was also like in the background, right? Because she spoke English and the applicant spoke Spanish. And she's listening. She's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to tell my dad that now. And it was just very interesting because like financial literacy we don't necessarily get it or we learn about it too late. So you guys have the advantage of that. Like financial literacy is, to me, one of the most important topics that you get out of Youth Champions because it's something that isn't always readily available or isn't something that's really talked about in just everyday school. Okay, I suspected those would be the two main topics you guys liked. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, let me see where we're at. Let me make sure I'm on the right slide. Cool. So, vision and goal setting. So, last semester we did this at the beginning of the semester. You guys might want to revisit that on your own. Let me see. But again, having a clear vision provides direction and purpose, right? And what does that mean? So, you can't, like, you can't put the cart before the horse at that point. If you've ever heard that expression, like the horse leads the cart, the horse is what's moving. So, in that sense, it's like you have to be able to put the steps in place like, hey, where are we going? What are we going to be doing? So that you can have this vision. Um, Part of it is what we talked about last semester is taking this very big goal that you have. For a lot of you, it was like turning in your applications and your personal statements, right? That's probably done for you now. So now, what is your next goal? Some of you might be to get your driver's license, might be to graduate without senioritis. You might want to, maybe your goal is to get a job for the summer before summer hits, maybe get an internship. Whatever your goal is, you should identify it, but not only just identify, hey, this is my goal, how am I going to achieve the goal? So that's where SMART goals comes in. It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? So, specific, what is the actual goal that you want to achieve? And the goal could be really big, it could be small. You could have maybe multiple different goals. For instance, I've achieved a lot of big goals, right? Like I already have a career, but there's smaller goals that I have that are like I want to get a bunch of empties. Like I have a bunch of like skincare, hair care products that I bought but haven't like used up. So I have this goal of like I want to make all of these things empties, right? Because I spent money on it. I don't want to just throw it away. So then I figured out, okay, here's how often, I'm going to use this shampoo on these wash days. I'm going to use this lotion every other day. And I like measured it out to be like, okay, my goal is to get these things empty so that I don't feel like I wasted my money buying them in the first place. It's a very silly, dumb goal, but I have to have something that motivates me. And it's measurable in the fact that I know it's just these products that I have. And it's achievable because obviously I bought them in the first place because I needed them or I thought I could use them. They're relevant because they're relevant to me, right? It wouldn't be, if it was like someone else had a bunch of stuff, would I care if they used it or not? But it's relevant to me because I spent my own money on this stuff. And then it's time bound, right? Like I want to finish these things up within the next 6 months because it's about how long it would take to get through these products. So that's like a very tiny goal to me, but it's like an important goal to me because again, it's tied to like I spent money on this and I don't like to think that I'm wasting money. Also, I just don't want to be wasteful. Um, so that's how I sort of apply that to my everyday life. You can apply it as you wish to something that's important to you. But it does make it easier. Like I wrote down on a post-it all of the products that I have, and it feels good because I've like crossed some of them off. I'm like, ooh, look at me go. I finished this thing. I got an empty out of it. That was like $30 that I didn't waste. So those are kind of what's important about setting your goal. Whatever your goal is to you, is that you want to make it specific enough that you can track how you're going to go about it, come up with a plan, and then make it time bound, right? When I do what I do for a living, which is, I negotiate move out agreements, it's always time bound. Like you will get paid this amount of money if you move out by this date. And the idea is if you don't make it time bound, then no one will be motivated to hold up their end of the agreement. So for yourself, your goal is like an agreement to yourself. You want to make it time bound because if you don't make it time bound, you'll take up all of that time to reach the goal. So that's really important with anything. And sometimes it's easy to be time bound for like a class because you already know your class is going to be however long it's going to be. But for other goals that are more self-motivated, it takes a little bit more discipline to reach it. And that's why time bound is important. But time bound only works so long as you have a plan to achieve said goal. So I said a lot there. So I'm going to give you guys a break and we're going to go into the workbook question, which is our first one for tonight. So this one's going to be sort of a revisit of what we talked about last semester, but describe a goal you set in the last year. And then how did it go? So last semester when we started, you guys had set goals for yourselves. So how did it go for you? Did you meet the goal? Did you stumble a little bit? Did you get halfway through the goal? And we'll come back and we'll share some of, what you guys had come up with, and I'll have some follow-up questions for you. So I'll give you guys 3 minutes to do this, and then we'll come back and discuss. Okay, let me see. Alaya, describe a goal that you set for yourself last year and how did it go?
A goal that I set for myself was like to become more strict with my workout plan. Mainly because I would slack off a lot when it came to it. So I would say I'm doing pretty good. And I see a lot of results. And like especially since I planned it like last year, I definitely made some progress. So I'm proud of that.
Okay. Let's see. Juan, what was the goal that you had last year and how did it go?
At the like in the middle of the year, my grades weren't looking too well, and after 10th grade year, I was like, in my 11th grade year, I was like, okay, I need to like do way better, and which I did. I achieved my goal. I was satisfied with my final grades that I got.
Okay. And what did you do that helped you achieve the goal?
I think by stop being lazy, I was procrastinating a lot, and yeah.
Yes. Um, Laziness is one of those things that we're just avoiding something, right? And we have to figure out what we have to avoid or why we're avoiding things, and then essentially come up with a plan and then little baby steps, right? I was surprised. I had a networking meeting at the beginning of this month, and it was, a bunch of real estate professionals. And there was a few attorneys, and every attorney's goal in that group was to read more books. And, you know, people procrastinate because when they don't know, like, well, why do I want to read more books? And it's like, oh, well, you want to be educated, right? You want to keep learning. But not only was that sort of the issue as to why they couldn't figure out why they wanted to read books other than they think they're supposed to read books. Then the other thing was, well, they all had a goal. I want to read 12 books this year. Okay, well, how do you go about that? Like they had no direction. And it's crazy because these are like attorneys that have been attorneys for like 30, 40 years. And I brought up, I go, that was my same goal last year. And I came up with like, well, how do I read more books? Because I had books that I bought that I wanted to read because I wanted to read them. They were topics that were important to me, or they're books that I'm like, okay, it's nonfiction that I like. Then I go, okay, how do I achieve this goal? And it was like, okay, I'm going to read a book a week, which was like insane. I don't know why I thought I was going to read a book a week. And I was like, that's crazy. So then I was like, okay, I'll read like a book a month. And I was like halfway through the year and I was like, I have read no books to completion. And then I broke it down to 20 pages a day. And there's days where like, hey, I don't make it. I get 10 pages in, I get 0 pages in. Um, but I was like 20 pages a day. And I did the math and I was like, I could read 20 books a year if the book was about 300 pages. And that was it right there. And so, hey, 89 pages is better than 0 pages, though. And this is extracurricular, right? Like, you read more pages of your school textbooks, fingers crossed, I'm hoping. But as far as extracurricular, which is kind of what I'm talking about, which is reading books because I want to read them, that was how I was able to break it down. And I've told so many people about it. I was so proud because I told my grandma about it and she finished a book she'd been working on for years in like a week and a half. And she's like, the 20 pages worked. I don't know why I didn't do it before. So it's kind of more you're procrastinating, but this thing is important to you to some degree. Getting good grades is important to you. It's just figuring out, okay, how do I achieve it? Like how do I make it possible for myself? And so that's where SMART goals comes down. And part of it is just breaking it down into like little pieces, right? Like little bite-sized pieces. Like how can I make this manageable for me? And then of course you don't want too many goals because then you'll achieve none of them. But anyways, very proud of you. Good job. Next slide. Here we go. Okay, so growth mindset and expanding your comfort zone. I had no idea that there were like little brain icons, but apparently they found a little brain graphic. I love that. So, growth mindset and expanding your comfort zone. So, the two things go hand in hand. You can't, like, the word itself, growth, implies that things are getting bigger, right? So, with comfort zones, it's the same thing. It implies that things are getting bigger. Like, your comfort zone is small, but then it gets bigger every time you step out of it, and then that becomes your new comfort zone. And then you step out further, and then you're expanding your comfort zone as you do new things. So growth mindset and expanding your comfort zone are like two sides of the same coin, essentially. So each new or difficult experience is like strengthens you in one way or another. And then failure and discomfort are not necessarily signs of weakness. They're signs that you have something to learn you have to pivot, maybe you have to change. Maybe you're not doing enough of something, maybe you're not going through your steps, maybe you're skipping steps. Just means you have to revisit your goal and how you're approaching your goal. But doesn't necessarily mean, well, not necessarily, it doesn't at all mean that it's a sign of weakness or that you're not capable of doing something. And then stretch goals are those that help train your mind to embrace challenges and develop resilience, right? So, one of the main things that people struggle with is public speaking. Almost everybody struggles with that at some point. Um, and so that's kind of one of those stretch goals, like learning to public speak more, which would be the small one, participating in class. You guys here get cold called on and you participate. So it's kind of stretching you if you're not particularly one who likes to public talk or volunteer. So those are sort of little goals that you can have. And that can be applied to almost anything. Is those are the goals that really they're actually pushing outside of your comfort zone that give you the confidence for bigger things that require more confidence to get out of your comfort zone. Let's go to the next slide. Hold on, I gotta read your guys' comments. Guys are blowing up the chat. Okay. Manga does count. That's not true. Instagram captions. Technically it's rating, but I see what you guys are saying. Okay. Okay, here we go. Guys, we got some manga fans in the room. I think that counts. I think comic books count. Manga counts. That I do think counts. But you should also probably read nonfiction or long form books. My kids love reading like the Dogman books, which are basically comics, and they love it so much that they went ahead. No one should feel embarrassed about me reading anything. Manga you should not be embarrassed by. I was one of those kids who also read that. I read Fruits Basket. That was my jam when I was a kid. But reading is very influential because my little ones now have their own comic book that they're working on, and I see their like little drawings in the office. But it is using your left side of your brain. So don't sleep on reading comic books or picture books of that essence. Okay, next slide. Let's see. Is there a workbook question before this? We were on that slide and I missed it. Here we go. I'm sorry, we skipped this whole slide. I was reading the messages. Okay, so this is the workbook. Think of a recent moment when you chose comfort over challenge. And if you could rewind that moment, what small risk could you have taken instead, and how might that have helped you grow? So this could be something personal, this could be something academic, so it could have been an opportunity like an internship that maybe you didn't apply for. So go ahead, I'll give you guys 3 minutes and then we'll come back and share our experiences. Sorry about that. Roberto Vasquez, why don't you share with us?
So basically, this question asks, what small risks I would have taken instead, or think of the recent moment when you choose comfort over challenge. So basically today, I had the option to like review like my peers' work because the way my teacher set it up was that there was rounds of like small groups of people that would review like random pieces of work. But I decided not to volunteer to go up because like I was sort of lazy in that time and I wanted to like do nothing at the same time. So
Should you have volunteered maybe?
later on I did because like no one was willing to do it.
Okay, so at first you
Yeah,
were like, nah, but then you realized no one was doing it, so then you stepped out of your comfort zone and did it.
yeah.
And how did that pencil out? What happened?
I mean it was pretty simple. Like I thought there was like more to it.
Yeah, a lot of the times things are way easier than we think they're gonna be. I found that out at some point when I became an attorney. I thought everything was scary. I think it was going to court. And I went to court my first time and I went with like another attorney. And I was like, man, I was like all freaked out. I was like, dude, there's like judges, there's gonna be other people in the room. And I went, I was like, okay, this is not bad. And then I went before that judge like a couple months later and in front of the entire courtroom. And this is when you like, now we do a lot of court via Zoom, we do it online, but this is like when you went in. And I went in and the judge in front of like everybody, and there's like a room full of attorneys straight up asked me if I was actually a lawyer. And he's like, ma'am, are you actually an attorney? Like, you look really young. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm an attorney, Your Honor. Like, yeah. And like everyone was like laughing, and it was one of those moments where I was like, this is sometimes not as serious. Like sometimes the courtroom is just not as serious as I thought it was gonna be. And he was like, oh, okay, I wasn't sure. And then in my mind, I was like, are you gonna like go look up my bar number? Because you check in court and they have like, you used to write down your bar number. And I just like in that moment, I was like, I guess this is not that big of a deal. Like, they're also human beings too, but it was just like so awkward. I was like, I don't think it could get any worse than this. Besides a ruling not going in my favor, it's pretty awkward to be straight up asked if you're an attorney while you're like checking in for a case. But anyway, let's see. Samantha, no, hold on. Not Samantha. Yeah, Samantha Cruz.
Um, so there's like this opportunity that I was given to go travel to like a different country. And I feel like since I'm not like used to being without my family, I like right away thought, oh, I'm not gonna do it because I don't know if I could go like without my family. But then like I kind of started thinking about it, but I wish I would have at least taken the decision to at least apply for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can always apply for things and not necessarily go, but just the exercise of applying is good. My friend recently had to apply for new jobs, and he at first thought like it's going to be really hard to find a job. And then he was applying to a bunch of places, and there were some interviews that were really hard. And he was applying for accounting jobs. They had like they gave him all these tests, and he had to apply for one company. And it was, like the test was really hard. He didn't pass it. Then he, did interviews with a few other people. And now he's in a weird predicament because he actually got a job, but now all these other companies want to interview him and hire him. And so it became a good problem. But it's one of those things where at the end of the day, it's good to go out. It's good to do these interviews. Sometimes they're going to be awkward. Sometimes they're going to be great. Sometimes you're going to have a bunch of different options and you got to pick the one that makes the most sense for you. But just the actual process of applying is really good because one, you get that experience. Like for him, he interviewed with a bunch of people. So then he got more interview experience in that can help him down the line and helped him in other interviews. Like he knew, oh, I should have answered this better. So when he had another interview with another company, he was a little bit more prepared. So I know it's kind of scary, but those things are like they're getting out of your comfort zone, but they're like little bite size getting out of your comfort zone. And ultimately, you don't might not have to do the thing. That came up last semester when one of you guys shared about not applying for an internship that you wish you had applied for. So again, those are things that it's better to take the leap and to do it than to sit there and be like, man, I should have done that and I didn't do it. There will hopefully be in the future opportunities for you guys to do other things, to study abroad is a huge thing in college if you choose to go to college. But yes, those are all things that, and also you can't dwell on it. Like, hey, I didn't apply for it. I'm not going to go. That's okay. But don't beat yourself up over those things either. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay. So setting up for semester two, so this semester, the spring semester. So preparation starts in your mind. So again, mindset, when you're gonna do anything, you want to mentally be there to do it, commit to it, have a positive mindset, sort of align yourself with your goal. Then opportunity to practice growth. So small things like volunteering in class, that's growth. And you realized, hey, it's not that bad. It's not as complicated or as hard as I thought. Sometimes you find out in life that people have very low expectations. So you'll just hit it out of the park, not even trying to hit it out of the park, but you'll have, people already have very low expectations. My brother benefited from that in college because he went to a school that was heavily into athletics. My brother wasn't. He was a business student, and all his professors thought he was like the greatest thing to business school because he showed up and did the work and never had excuses and did it all on time and exceeded their expectations. So you'll find out sometimes people have like low expectations, and you simply showing up and just volunteering is enough and it's what people want. Um, Intentional focus helps you grow. So again, when you have goals and you have it, focused on what you want to do and how you're going to do it, it's a lot easier than if you have a goal but you have really no passion for it, or you have no drive, or doesn't really matter to you that much, then, it's hard to find the intention behind it. Discomfort is a signal of progress. This is true because you have to overcome discomfort. And that's how you grow. That's how you build skills. Stay curious, engaged, and consistent. That's going to be for the rest of your life. Always be curious. Always be willing to learn new things. Especially, when you go out, you might change jobs and you might be applying for a job that's something that you haven't done before. Companies are sometimes fine that you've never done that thing or had experience, but your willingness to learn, your willingness to be trained, your willingness to go above is what can make the difference between hiring you or hiring somebody else. Um, and then just being consistent, right? A lot of these things, you have to show up every day as much as you can, and there'll be days where you fall off, but that's okay. You can pick it up. You don't have to beat yourself up over it, but consistency, as you guys know and you guys have learned, is a huge part of how you achieve goals and how you kind of achieve balance, right? When you're more consistent, it makes it easier for you to regulate your emotions, and regulate, potential anxiety. So let's go to our last workbook question. What kind of person do you want to be at the end of these 12 weeks? And what mindset will you need to practice each week to get there? Just pretty open-ended question. I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes for this, and then we'll come back and share, and then we'll close out class. Okay, let's see. Stephanie Garcia. Why don't you share with us what you wrote down?
So the person I aspire to be by the end of the 12 weeks is someone who shows commitment in having determination to actually form habits. It's easier said than done, but I want to be like a person who actually like commits to the habits they want to make. Like for me, I want to learn different study techniques so I could make habits out of that. And I feel like that will help me a lot with college. And what would help me? Doing research on what type of techniques, trying out different techniques. I that works best for me. And yeah.
Yes, one of the key things for that, which is, a great goal, is just simply I want to be someone who sets up habits and commits to them, is that it's okay if you change techniques. So you might be the kind of person who likes, the 20 minutes of studying, 5-minute break. You might be the kind of person who, does time blocking in their calendar. But it's okay to try a technique and go, you know what, this is not working for me. Let me try a different one. So that's always something in any goal that you have. It's okay if whatever process you're doing isn't working. Um, it's okay to change it. It's okay if you find out that, you know what, this habit I thought I wanted isn't the habit that I really care about. Or, maybe this goal I have, it's not specific enough. I need to fine tune it. So those are all things that's part of having the growth mindset and is part of just learning and growing as a human, as a person, as an adult, is that it's okay to change things or to say, hey, this isn't working. And it's not that you're not maybe doing it right. It's that maybe it's just not what works for you. So that's great. All these lessons will hopefully help you achieve that. Let's see. Let's see. Emmanuel, why don't you go ahead and share what you wrote down?
Yeah, so I said I wanted to be a person who's more organized, dedicated, and I think more open to new things. And the mindset
Mm.
that I want to practice by the end of this is to have a growth mindset and um be organized. So again, like incorporating elements of being open to new things, to new practices, new cultures, and then also being more organized in the idea of planning like what I want to do, what I want to achieve at the end of the year, month, or week. And yeah.
I should have brought my planner with me. I have a planner, and I think this is like the fourth year that I've used it. And I still do have a physical planner. I use my calendar, of course, on my computer. I use Google. I have iPhone, so I use like the reminders. I use that a lot. But I have a physical planner, and the reason why I like this planner so much is in the planner, at the beginning of it, it does have like, hey, what are your goals for the year? What are your goals for work? What are your goals for being more creative? What are your goals, for how you're going to contribute to the outside world? Then every month it has like a list of questions, like, how are you feeling this month? What worked? What didn't work? And all of that is why I buy this planner every year. Because not only do I like that aspect of my planner, but then it also has for the week, it has like little bullet points so I can cross things off. And so out of all the planners, and there's like hundreds, thousands of them, that's the one I have, and that's the one I get every year because it helps me stay organized and it helps me specifically. Like it works for my personality, it works for what I like. I do like to physically write things out. I write to-do lists all the time. It helps me track it. Some people like to do to-do lists on their phone. They're like, hey, I can't really deal with physically writing things down. I always have my phone. I use my phone. So part of being organized is also meeting yourself at what works for you. If writing things down helps you be organized and be more intentional, get yourself a notebook, get yourself a planner. If using your calendar and having different colors for different kind of tasks, that maybe is how you implement things. Time blocking might be another one. But that's also, again, the same thing with habits is organization. Figure out what works for you. And, it's okay if you change. It's okay if you find out that, I don't like the digital planner, like the physical one. Maybe you're the kind of person who likes to coordinate things with different colors. Maybe you like bullet journaling and the art of doing that kind of stuff and organizing. But those are definitely things that I've also learned over time, and I figured out what does and doesn't work for me. So again, throughout the semester, hopefully these classes will help you guys achieve those goals. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, let me wait for it to load. Okay, so next class is going to be a financial literacy class. We're going to talk about stocks, bonds, and real estate. Three things. Real estate mainly I know a lot about because I work with real estate. But these are all three things that I'm so happy we talk about. I love for people to on their own learn more about because they're one of the things that helps with long-term financial growth, but so few people get access to it or learn about it when they're young. So we're going to learn the basics of investing by understanding how stocks, bonds, and real estate each contribute to long-term growth. Explore how stocks build wealth through ownership, bonds provide stability through lending, and real estate creates value through appreciation and rental income. And then with simple explanations and real world examples, we're going to focus on diversification, and you'll build confidence in making informed financial decisions in the future. So these are all, again, I'm super excited about this class. Love this class. Um, let's go to the next slide. So we're just going to give you guys 90 more seconds to do your workbook, finish up any of it, so that ideally you guys can submit it tonight, not have to worry about the rest of the week and get credit. And then we'll do some closing announcements, and then I'll close out the class myself. So let's put 90 seconds on the clock. Okay, so let's go into announcements.
Hi, Sasha. Should I be doing the announcements or
Yep,
with it?
I'll
Okay.
have you guys do them.
All right, thank you. So, yes, I just wanted to remind everyone to please submit your workbook and survey forms on time. So, deadline would be Friday before 5 p.m. to make sure that your points get counted and select the correct cohort number and level. So, you're in level 2. And yeah, you can also earn up to 4 points for if you will join our upcoming Junior Achievement Finance Park field trip. So the dates would be February 7 and 14. And the deadline for that is going to be on January 30th. So please make sure you sign up before the form closes so you will have the opportunity to earn more points and also network with everyone too. And you can also earn up to 2 points if you will join our Ignite Speaker Series this February 2nd. RSVP deadline as well is going to be on January 30th. And our speaker for that day would be Miller McCoy. Um, you can actually join to he will share some things that will turn your interest into real skills and opportunities. He will also talk about finding your first passion, starting before you feel ready, using limitations as leverage, and why passion only works when paired with discipline. So it will be a great night for everyone. And then we are also trying to get numbers, the number of students, so we can actually track whether you're currently involved in a college match program. So if you are, kindly fill out the form that is sent on the chat. And then also our student guide website is still up and running. So you can always visit that for any important announcements, updates, and program information that you wanted to know. And then if you have any further questions, you can also submit that to our student help form and our team will, um, you know, answer to your questions and concern promptly. And if you have any questions, you can also stay at the end of this session and I'll give the floor back to Sasha. Thank you.
That's all I have this evening. Again, the financial, if you haven't been to the financial park, that one's actually a really cool field trip. So make sure that you sign up on time. But otherwise, it's actually gonna be really important because some of the stuff that we learn in the next class about kind of investments and planning long term for your future and growing your wealth are things that come up in that financial park. So it's kind of cool. Other than that, I will see you guys next week. Good
See you,
night.
everyone. Thank you so much. Please send a reaction before you go. We would love to see that. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Emma.